Hello friends, Namaste. First of all, I would like to introduce myself. I am Dr. Nipendranath Mishra and I am working as a bioassay scientist in National Institute of Biologicals, Noida, India. I did my PhD from Central Drug Research Institute, Lucknow. After the completion of my PhD, I joined as a research associate in National Institute of Immunology, and since 2017, I am here in National Institute of Biological as a bioassay scientist. So it was my small introduction. I am here to present my one presentation that is on fungal infection, and the topic is Candida biofilm formation on medical devices and its cause of dysfunction. So friends, let's start the talk. First of all, I would like to give some introduction about mycology. What is mycology? So basically mycology is a branch of biology which concerned about the fungus of including genetic and biochemical properties. So if we talk about the presence of fungi on globe, so there are more than 10 million species are there, and fortunately only 400 are able to cause any disease in human. And if talk about their characteristic, so very few species are in a commensal relationship. Commensal means association between two species or two organisms which are benefit to each other, uh, and other one neither benefit nor harm. So if you talk about some example of commensal relationship, so Candida albicans and Malassezia furfur both are the example of commensalism. Candida albicans basically present in our gut microbiota, and Malassezia furfur present on the skin or in hairs. If you talk about the mode of infection, so it might be accidental, overcoming host barriers, residing in host with immunological defects. So accidental means if somehow unknowingly you get contacted with any fungus, any pathogenic fungus, it enters into your body and cause the infection. Overcoming host barrier means there are innate barriers in our body, innate immunity barriers in our body. So that barriers prevents the entry of any fungal pathogens. So if any pathogen can cross over these barriers, so it enters into your body and cause the infection. Residing in host with immunological defects means if a patient or if a person uh, go through some any transplantation or in immunocompromised condition or any immunosuppressant condition, so due to these immunological defects leads to the Candida albicans infection. So what is the fungal characteristic? Fungal characteristic, basically most fungi grow as a tubular filaments called hyphae. So if in this slides I can show you in these pictures these tubular like structure. So these tubular like structure are interwoven to each other, and these interwoven structures are called hyphae, or the mass of hyphae is called mycelium. Basically the cell wall of these mycelium or these hyphae is made up of chitin. This chitin is a polymer of N-acetyl glucosamine that is called a NAG. Basically the fungi disperse themselves by releasing spores. So after the maturation, these hyphae or these mycelia uh, release some spores, and these spores go around the place of infection and cause infection to on other places. and these the dispersion usually wind blown. Fungi are heterotrophs and saprophs. Heterotrophs means any organism can depend on other organism for the food. So because fungi lacks lack chlorophyll, so due to the absence of chlorophyll they are not able to synthesize their own food, so they are basically dependent on the other organism. So that's why they are called heterotrophs. And saprophs means some fungi are basically dependent on decayed animal or decayed plants. So they take their nitrogen or carbon source from their dead bodies. So in this talk, basically, I will be focused on the Candida albicans, because Candida albicans is the most pathogenic organism among the fungal world. So it has a commensal characteristic. Commensal characteristic means Candida albicans basically present in our gut microbiota and in females vaginal microbiota. So when conditions become favorable for this fungus, so it can convert into a pathogenic form. Candida albicans has thin-walled structure, and it is dimorphic. Dimorphic means it can present in yeast and filamentous or in hyphal, both form. It has principal cell wall polymer. Principal cell wall polymer as glucan and mannan. So these are also glucopolysaccharides. It is strictly aerobic. It's strictly aerobic means it favors it love to grow in aerobic conditions. It favors moist surfaces. It commensally found in gut, as I told earlier. It present in genitals. It present in lungs. It love to grow on body temperature, and it also like neutral pH. It has a capability to multiply very rapidly and also spread from one place to another place. Let's talk about the epidemiology of the Candida albicans. Over 75% of women suffer from a Candida albicans infection, usually vulvovaginal candidiasis, in their lifetime. So if you talk about the reproductive age of females from age of 10 to age of 40 or 50, most of the women face of these Candida albicans infections, and 40 to 50% of them will have additional occurrence. Means due to the presence of Candida albicans, some other co-infections are also there. Interestingly, Candida albicans are the fourth leading cause for nosocomial infection. Nosocomial infection means an infection which generally cause in hospital environment condition. This could result in an extremely life-threatening systemic infection. So, because of the nosocomial infection, patients go through some septicemia. So, these septicemia or these sepsis can cause very high mortality rate, about 30%. So what is the pathogenesis of Candida albicans? Candidiasis is caused by the abnormal growth in Candida albicans, which is usually due to an imbalance in the environment. So if any imbalance in gut microbiota, or if any imbalance in vaginal microbiota, or if any imbalance in our immune system, so Candida albicans leads to the pathogenic character. Usually this imbalance occurs in, for example, in women's vagina, because in women's vagina there are some bacteria like lactobacilli which create acidic condition because of secretion of lactic acid, and due to the presence of this lactic acid, the pH environment is acidic, about 2 to 3 pH, and when due to some reason like use of high antibiotics or antimicrobial agents, which can decrease the amount of lactobacilli and which decrease the amount of acidic products. So when acidic uh, environment converts into a basic environment, or it favors the growth of Candida albicans, and Candida albicans are able to take advantage of this condition and outcompete with the normal microflora, and the result is Candida infection or candidiasis. So, what are the major challenges of uh, the diagnosis or the treatment, basically? So, there are no any exact method to diagnose the Candida infection at early stage. So, basically, the clinical symptoms are non-specific. So, sometimes patients or person ignore the infection. Second one is present identifications are time taking because they are conventional in method and lack of accuracy. Treatment, if talk about the treatment, so there are so many antifungals in the market, but they have some side effects. Uh, Candida albicans or other fungi can develop resistance against these antifungals, and still broad spectrum antifungals are absent. One other characteristic of Candida albicans is a formation of biofilm. Basically, Candida albicans has capability to form a biofilm on medical devices or on any hydrophobic surface, or on the implants. So, if we talk about the structural characteristic of biofilms, so Candida biofilms are basically three-dimensional in structure. They are composed of yeast and hyphal cells. So when Candida albicans form a biofilm, it secretes an extracellular matrix. So these extracellular matrix can form a web-like structure and provide a favorable condition for the growth of hyphal cells, and they also create co-aggregation and co-adhesion between cells. So these co-aggregation and co-adhesion between cells can form a three-dimensional or web-like, a bulge-like structure. So these bulge-like structure had characteristic of antifungal resistance. So fungi in biofilms are resistant to more than 5 to 8 times against the antifungal agent, and it also restricts to penetrate the drugs through the biofilm matrix. If you talk about the morphogenesis, so basically, as I told earlier, that Candida albicans favors temperature microenvironment of the of the area. So, when 37 degrees centigrade or body temperature generally occurs, so it converts into hyphal or in pseudo hyphal form, as I mentioned in this slide. If you talk about the Candida biofilm life cycle, so basically, first it adheres to the surface of the medical devices, and the adherence is basically on the basis of some glycoproteins. So these Candida albicans planktonic cells first adhere on the surface by the secretion or by the expression of some adhesive proteins, and then initiation means they are converting from planktonic to hyphal, pseudo hyphal form, and in maturation basically they fully converted into a hyphal or pseudo hyphal form, or in mycelial form, and in the dispersion condition basically they disperse planktonic cells which are embedded uh, in the matrix. So basically, if antifungal does not enter into this wave, and due to the absence of, or due to the sub-inhibitory concentration of antifungal to the planktonic cells, these planktonic cells become antifungal resistant, and these antifungal resistant planktonic cells are very dangerous. So when they disperse from here and goes to another place or around the infection, they cause more vigorous infections. If you talk about the Candida biofilm cell wall structure, so basically the cell wall is made up of uh, polysaccharide polymers like N-linked mannans, cell wall mannoproteins, O-linked mannan, and basically these family at whole is called glycosyl phosphatidyl inositol, that is called GPI anchor protein. And among in the these GPI anchor proteins, some families are there like ALS family, SWB family, and EPA family. ALS family is called agglutinin-like sequences. So basically, these families are responsible for the adhesion to the surface. SW family is a hyphal wall protein, and EPA is also an adhesive protein. So these families, these GPI anchors, are responsible for the adhesion to the surface where biofilm is going to form. Some genes are involved in Candida biofilm. So if you talk about the some genes, there are in this slide we have shown some genes which are responsible for the uh, uh, growth of the Candida biofilms. Like farnesol. Farnesol basically are 15 carbon organic compounds synthesized by both plants and animals. So if Candida albicans form biofilm inside the any animal or in the patient, so there are some farnesol compounds, so they help to form of Candida biofilm. Some nutrients are there like serum and sera and other body fluids. They provide some nutrients, so they help to form biofilm. Some genes are responsible for hyphal development. Basically, these you can see these genes are responsible for hyphal development. Some so during the life cycle, from adhesion to initiation to dispersal, uh, there are so many genes which are responsible for the formation of biofilm and in the life cycle of biofilm. So if we compare, if look in the comparison of Candida biofilm formation, so these are some species of Candida: Candida albicans, Candida glabrata, Candida tropicalis, and Candida parapsilosis. So at the early stage, they look same. So the characteristic of uh, biofilm formation at the early stage basically are same in all Candida species. So you can see here that planktonic cells adhere to the surface in all Candida species. And if you talk about the intermediate phase, so there you can see some changes in the intermediate phase. So if we talk about the Candida albicans, there are both hyphal and planktonic cells. If you talk about the glabrata, so all are in planktonic condition. If you talk about the tropicalids, it look like same as Candida albicans. If you talk about the parapsilosis, so you can see both planktonic and pseudohyphae condition. So, and at the maturation or and dispersal condition, Candida albicans show very dense and very large biofilm formation. So by this slide, we can see that we can say that Candida albicans has more capability to form a biofilm than other species of Candida. Then, what are the detection methods uh, of the uh, biofilm? So basically, two major types of observation: direct observation and indirect observation. Direct observation means you can use light microscopy, you can use STEM, this is transmission electron microscope, you can use scanning electron microscope, You can use fluorescence tagging biofilm like confocal laser scanning microscopy. You can use FISH. And in indirect observation, there are some conventional method like roll plate method, Congo red agar method, detection by microtiter plate assay, or detection by PCR. Uh, some biofilm associated genes which are basically either upregulated or downregulated. So in this slide, uh, it has been shown that the result of some these direct methods like FISH. FISH is basically a cytogenetic technique by using fluorescent probe that binds to the nucleic acid sequences with high degree of complementarity. And if you talk about the confocal is basically analysis of exopolysaccharides. So there are some dye or some detective agents which generally bind to the exopolymer, and when we do microscopy, they generally they give picture like this. So this is the confocal structure. Generally we use FITC labeled or FUN1 like stain. This is a SEM and this is TEM. By the scanning electron microscopy, you can see the high resolution picture of embedded structure or web-like structure of hyphae. And if you see in TEM, transmission electron microscopy, you can see the structure of cell, how cell look like in biofilm. And if you talk about any conventional method, so this is the microtiter plate uh, method in which we stain with some XTT or MTT method, so we can easily calculate or estimate the level of biofilm by absorption method. So there are some medical devices on which Candida can form a biofilm, like central venous catheters, prosthetic heart valve, intrauterine devices, urinary catheters. So these are some example of medical devices which are very vulnerable to form biofilm on that. So if you talk about the body positions, so these are some body positions where biofilm can infect, like ventricular derivations, contact lenses, endotracheal tubes, vascular center catheters, prosthetic arterial valve. So these are some examples of devices where biofilm can form, and these are some tissue example where biofilm can form the infection. So, what are the reasons behind dysfunction of medical devices? So, dysfunction of medical devices by basically by the formation of biofilm on these devices, or you can say inside the devices, because Candida albicans also love to grow on flowing condition. So, if we use catheter and body fluids or blood goes through the catheter, or so it provides some provides surface, a favorable surface for biofilm formation. And when biofilm form inside the structure, uh, these spaces become choked and catheter become dysfunction. If you talk about the pacemaker, so pacemaker, at the pacemaker surface, Candida can also form the biofilm. And when uh, Candida infection occurs, and and the structure of biofilm can dysfunction it because of the high density and because of the high resistance behavior. And if you talk about the any catheter or any shunts, it also form a dense biofilm, and these dense biofilm can cause the dysfunction of the device. So these are some major drug categories of antifungals. Polyenes, basically polyenes are the poly structure. So these are the polyunsaturated organic compounds, like example of amphotericin B and statins. Azoles are 5-membered heterocyclic compound containing nitrogen. The best examples are clotrimazole, fluconazole, itraconazole, and ketoconazole. These are basically azoles. And allyla means has a structure of molecular structure of C3H5NH2. So basically these are also example of one antifungal. And if you talk about the echinocandins are lipopeptides, basically target the cell wall. So azole basically target the synthesis of cell wall. So these are the major example of antifungals. So what are the promising strategies to eradicate the biofilm formation on the uh, medical devices? So basically the current therapies are based on two different approaches. The one is called the lock therapy. In this therapy, basically it is directed to eradicate the biofilms formation in the catheter prior to their contact with the patient, and the strategy consists in the diffusing a high concentration of antimicrobial drug. So if we treat the any medical devices like catheter with the high concentration of drug into the catheter lumen, so letting the agents act during a period of several hours or days, so it might be possible that the biofilm formation will not occur. The other approach is catheter coating. The modification of the coating of the catheter with minocycline, rifampin, or chlorothin, these chemicals, or silver sulfatazine, decreases the number of bloodstream infection caused by central venous catheters. Another one is coating with nanomaterials. So if we take the nanomaterials, so it can also decrease the antifungal toxicity. So if you use the nanomaterial or nanoparticles, it has some possibilities of the improvement of uh, antifungal effect. The use of saline and system coating and titanium and zirconium specimen. So if we coat with some elements, so it might be possible that these coating can prevent the formation of Candida albicans biofilm. So these are the promising strategies for the eradication of biofilm. So it was my talk. Thank you very much, and it was my privilege to present this presentation. Thank you very much.